So today, we're jumping into this wild and honestly pretty hilarious story about what happens when heaven's supposedly perfect system springs a major leak, and the only ones to notice are, well, down in hell. It's a journey into cosmic bureaucracy gone completely off the rails.
And this is the question that just kicks the whole thing off. It completely flips our usual ideas of eternal justice upside down and sets the stage for a conflict that is both, biblical in scale and also ridiculously bureaucratic. So how does this all get started? Well, it turns out the souls down in hell catch wind of a huge policy issue up in heaven, and the response? Oh, they don't just complain. They form a committee, a supposedly unbiased one, of course, to investigate if everyone's really being treated equally up there. And this is where it gets truly wild. This committee for fairness and equality is staffed almost entirely by history's most famous evil tempters. I mean, that's like putting a fox in charge of henhouse security and then calling it a huge step forward for animal rights. Just absurd.
You have to be asking, how in the world did the cosmic system break down so badly that a committee from hell actually seems like the logical next step? To get that, we've got to rewind a bit and look at the real root of the problem. A massive, totally unforeseen administrative crisis happening in paradise itself.
Okay, so the core problem started with something you would never expect, an immigration crisis. But we're not talking about a few souls getting held up at the pearly gates. We're talking about a population boom on a scale that is just mind-boggling.
80 billion. Yeah, you heard that right. That's the number of unborn souls from miscarriages and abortions that were given automatic entry into heaven. They were never tested on Earth, never vetted, never lived a life. They just showed up. This one number is the crack in the foundation of the whole celestial system.
So how does something like this even happen? Well, it's a classic case of bureaucracy and some really bad assumptions. Heavenly administration just figured these souls were already perfect, so they skipped all the usual soul-perfecting upgrades. But the biggest mistake? They forgot to turn off their extended free will, the thing that lets you make choices that lead to imperfection. That's normally disabled at the door. They basically found a cosmic loophole and skipped the entire system. And, the consequences of this little oversight, they were huge. Paradise, which is supposed to be the ultimate symbol of unity, suddenly became a divided society. A new, unspoken class system started to form, and it created this massive rift between the old-timers and all the new arrivals. Let me break down this new cosmic class system for you. On one side, you've got the unborn immigrants. They have no resume, no ID, no skills. They're given these free mansions, which leads the creator to call them socialist freeloaders. And on the other side, the worthy graduates. These are the souls who earned their spot. They have important jobs and live in these incredible etheric castles. It's basically cosmic gentrification. So how did heaven's management explain this whole segregation thing? Oh, they had the perfect bureaucratic excuse, of course. An angel explains that the newcomers were moved to the outer edges for their safety. It's a classic example of dressing up inequality and calling it protection. And this might just be my favorite part of the whole story, because it's so darkly funny. With all this chaos going on, an immigration crisis, a brand new class system, you'd think the person in charge would be all over it. But you'd be wrong. I mean, that's the natural question, right? How could the creator possibly not know about a crisis this big happening right under their nose? Well, the answer feels painfully familiar to anyone who's ever worked in a big company. And there it is. The creator was taken off the memo list. Why? Because, and I quote, "No one wants to be blamed for upsetting a being who carries a large smite staff." It's just a complete failure of communication born out of fear, and it leaves the boss totally in the dark while the whole kingdom starts to fall apart. Okay, so all of this brings us right back to our committee from hell. Seeing this massive hypocrisy up in heaven, these unvetted souls getting a free pass while they're stuck in eternal damnation, they decide it's time to make a move. They call a meeting to rewrite heaven's rules, all under the noble banner of equality. All right, let's take a look at the lineup for this, let's call it an impartial committee. We've got, as we know, a room packed with evil tempters, but for appearance's sake, they add one exception, a randomly chosen, good-hearted soul named Evan. He's supposed to be a token outsider, but he ends up being the only one trying to talk some sense into the room. Their stated goal? Fairness for all. What happens next is just a masterclass in rigging the system.
Evan, bless his heart, stands up for cosmic law and merit. The tempters just throw back buzzwords like logical fairness and social justice. And when it's clear Evan isn't going to just roll over, they don't debate him. They have him tied up and literally dragged out of the room right before the final vote, which of course is then declared unanimous. And this is the moment it all comes to a head. With the one person who disagreed now gone, the tempter chairman calls for the vote, and the whole room just erupts, chanting equality. They're using the language of justice to cement an injustice. It's just a perfect and honestly terrifying moment of hypocrisy.
And just when you think it can't get any more audacious, they do one more thing. They vote to classify this revolutionary overhaul of cosmic law as just some insignificant policy corrections. This makes sure their power grab stays completely under the radar, and they get their changes in without alerting the one being who could actually stop them. It's an incredible move.
So that's where we're left. We have a system that was designed for perfection, now completely broken by its own loopholes. And we have a rebellion, hiding in the language of social justice that might just turn heaven into a new kind of hell. It really makes you ask, when a system fails this badly, does a twisted, self-serving demand for fairness become the only kind of justice there is?